Season 3 of Chefs and Deliciousness starts right now. Woo!
Woo! Here we are again for the edition of Trey's Chapter Live on this Broken Tooth Friday. God, I swear, man. Unbelievable. Okay, we have, I said that because I broke a tooth this morning eating some delicious barbecue stuff. I don't know how I did it, but I did. Anyway, all right. This weekend in Fort Whoa, I got Chris Dempsey here with me. Chris, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
We're going to get into Chris Dempsey here in just a few minutes, but this weekend at your mom's house in Fort Worth on 7th Street, we have a big charity event for the police officers that guard West 7th and West Side there. It is called Guardians of the 7th charity event, and we're going to have all kinds of raffles for all kinds of fantastic stuff. If you're out and about on Saturday, come hang out at your mama's house. There's going to be food, plenty of drinks, all kinds of raffles. Got a big cookout. It's going to be fun. We'll see y'all there tomorrow. Your mom's house on West 7th Street. And last Friday, we did our big unveil of the best burgers of 2021 on ABC, Channel 8 in Dallas. And we got that out. And if you want to see what the best burgers are anywhere in North Texas, check it out, TreysChowdown.com/burgers. Won't miss it. It's right there. It's a big arc. Worked 16 months on it. All right. And this weekend I got in Miami for Trey's Coastal Chowdown information. We've got the South Beach Food and Wine Festival in Miami. It's Cooking Channel and Food Network, and it is a fantastic event. I know I've got several chefs down there that I've talked to that are friends. We've got the Caviar down there. Michael Passmore, the Caviar man, he's down there doing caviar events. So they were doing an event last night. It was with Tyler Florence. It just looked delicious. Yeah, it was tequila and caviar.
I'm down.
Yeah, I know, yeah. All right, and New Orleans is open back up, fully open back up. They've started last month they started letting live music back. If you like New Orleans, Trey's Coastal Chowdown, you can hop on our Trey's Coastal Chowdown page, like that page. And we do New Orleans and Florida cuisine and information. You can go to Visit New Orleans. VisitNewOrleans.com or get on our social media, Visit New Orleans, and they have all kinds of cool stuff. They got a lot of festivals. Boy, they're stacking the festivals now back to back to back to back because they can do anything for over a year down there.
Yeah, bring it.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I was looking at it going, wait, this weekend, normally there's space, but they're just like cram, weekend. So you can do whatever you want to do. And, of course, in Texas today, they signed this deal this week. Governor did, no more mask. So no more masks. That's even in public places in Texas. Don't have to wear them. You're not forced to wear them. If you want to wear one, well, that's your choice, but I'm not going to wear one anymore. All right, and this last but not least, I'm really excited about this. Next Saturday at Tupp's Brewery in McKinney, we are doing a whole steer roast, people. Steer roast. All day, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. If you like craft beer and you like roasted beef and fixins, Tupp's Brewery in McKinney, he was in here. We're going to roll the footage here in a second, but Tupp's Brewery, McKinney, next Saturday, the 29th. Y'all want craft beer and beef? Hit us up at Tupp's Brewery. Let's roll that. You've probably heard the name and seen the beer in your local grocery store or favorite bar. Well, meet the man behind the beer known as Tupp's. Keith Lewis, president and one of the founders of Tupp's Brewery, sat down with me on my TV and podcast show, and we talked about where they started and what the future holds for Tupp's Brewery. I'm here today with some people that have some great beer here in North Texas and McKinney called Tupp's Brewery. Glad to have y'all here today. And is that how did you come up with the name?
Well, actually, I had a partner when we started, and his name was Tupper. So when we started doing home brewing and, entering little competitions, we said we got to have a name for the brewery. So we just took his first name and smashed it down and called it Tupp's. And I mean, it's stuck, it's strong, it's good. The logo's good, so everybody loves it.
It's I saw your video where it said that your wife bought you a home brew kit. Was that trumped up marketing stuff, or was that true?
That's actually a true story.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Got the kit. Went home, and Tupper, actually, we worked together, and we did 3 or 4 batches in the house, and then we migrated to the garage, and we migrated to the street, and now we've migrated to a 17,000 square foot building. So
and now you're migrating again?
Yes.
What'd you say, 40,000?
40,000 square feet in McKinney, so starting all the architectural drawings, everything now, and then it's going to take about 2 years to build it. But it's a huge craft community.
Yeah.
So it's a brewery and it's a restaurant and it's going to be retail stores. So it's a big undertaking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just funny. I never thought 15 years ago, 20 years ago, craft beer. What's that? And it just all of a sudden it took hold. Maybe the last decade has it really grown up the last decade? Maybe.
Well, yeah, and I think Texas, Oklahoma, we're kind of late to the game. I mean, if you go out to California, go to Colorado, Oregon, Washington, the Northeast. Yeah. I mean, it's been hot for 20 years, 25 years. Yeah.
I had to make my way to the place where all the magic happens and met Keith at his brewery in McKinney, Texas. He taught me a little more about the process of beer making and the connection between aroma and taste.
This is incredible. I can't believe. When you started, did you have all these, how many tanks did you have when you first started?
Well, we had a row along this wall, and there were maybe 6 tanks. So we have over 40 now.
Yeah.
So it's just been crazy.
So how does that, does each beer have a different tank? How does it work?
Yeah, so this is the brew house right here. So think of this as the kitchen. So we'll grain in and we'll boil, we'll put hops, and once that's done, then it moves over into a fermenter, and that'll be one batch of beer. And then once we get that one done, change the recipe, do another one, go into another tank. And then from those tanks, it takes about a week and a half. It goes into these big ones here, and that's where we carbonate the beer.
So when you're talking about your aroma, aromas have to battle anything.
Right. So I think they say that about 50% of what you think is taste actually comes from the aroma. That's why when you drink a beer, you can just smell it first and enjoy that, and then you drink it.
New big flavors now, the seltzer. Is it called seltzer? No, what's it called?
Yeah, hard craft seltzer.
All seltzer.
Right.
You got 4 of those flavors.
Right.
But they're all under Blur, right?
They're correct. Blur is kind of the overall brand name. In fact, right behind you is the can. So you'll notice when you were drinking the product, had a label around it.
Right.
So you peel the label back, this is what you're going to see under it. So we found out we do this with beer. So what you do is you can do smaller runs, because otherwise you have to print a lot of cans.
Right.
So we do smaller runs and we put a label around it. But we found people peeling the label off and wondering what's going on. So now we just said, well, we'll give them what they want.
It's just amazing how the whole craft beer scene has just gone nuts.
Yeah.
Unbelievable to me.
To me, I think I'd say half of it is it's the product, it's the beer and all that. But I think the other half of it is that people really just love drinking it and talking about it and getting together with friends. And that's why here we have a big tap room, and it's just people sitting over there, have 3 or 4 beers and just hang out with their buddies and listen to music, and it's a social thing.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks
for coming out.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of Trey'sChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs and sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Trey's Chowdown Live.
And Tubbs Brewery. That's a neat place. That's a big place. And their new place is going to be twice that size. They just keep growing like a weed, man. It's just amazing. All right, so next Saturday we'll see y'all out there. Come out and have some big beef with us, fixins, and some craft beer. Now we're going to get in with Chris Dempsey. Chris, thanks for coming today, buddy.
Trey, thanks for having me, man. How's it going?
Oh, man, it's awesome. It's Friday.
It is, yeah, it is Friday, and I'm like, bring it.
Yeah.
Bring the weekend, baby.
Yeah. Well, my uncle used to tell me, boy, you're doing something wrong if you live your life right. Every day should be Friday.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I wish every day was Friday, but you know how that is.
Yeah, it's
you got to grind it out, baby.
Yeah, you got to make it that Friday.
That's right.
I'll put the grind in. It's time.
That's right. So where are you from originally?
I'm actually from the Funk, man.
Right,
you
really?
Right over in Fort Worth, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I grew up mostly in Fort Worth, and then I graduated from Azle. Lived all over, traveled all over the U.S., but I keep coming back. Now I live in Las Colinas. I just love the Dallas area, DFW area. It's it's my home.
I love Las Colinas, actually.
Yeah, it's great.
The area is beautiful. It's clean. It's never overly packed unless I got a concert or something going on.
Right.
And man, I like the what's that dadgum restaurant like Hugo's.
Oh,
I love
it's my
Hugo's. I love where you used to work for the brunches they have.
the Four Seasons.
Four Seasons.
Yep.
And then they've got some other restaurants down in that whole area that I just adore. I mean, I just you know,
and we got some more stuff coming in. It's building up real nice right now.
since the pandemic, they're gonna
yeah, some good stuff. You know, and it's funny, you know. I've lived in Las Colinas for about 17 years.
Oh, wow.
We've waited and waited and waited for stuff to come in, and now all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. Let's bring all that
17
cool
years
stuff.
ago, Las Colinas was nothing like it is today.
Not at all. No, it was barely anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the Spirit Girl was still there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the neighborhood dive-ish bar. And it still is.
Where is that?
Right across the street from the Four Seasons, right there in the Tom Thumb parking lot.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They also have Cork and the Pig there.
Cork and Pig, yeah.
They have
great.
Cork and the Pig has got the best French dip sandwich in North Texas, period.
I'll take your word on it. You know, I don't eat meat. However,
that's right, you don't.
However, I did eat some brunch there the other day, like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and man, phenomenal.
I've got you don't eat meat. That's right. You're a vegan. Just don't eat meat.
No, I just pescatarian.
Oh, okay.
I just stopped eating dairy like last week, which is that it's actually been a lot harder to stop eating dairy because it's in so many things you don't really think about.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I kind of have a sweet tooth. I'm going to go grab a. No, I'm not going to go grab that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go have a a strawberry.
Yeah. It is in a lot of stuff though.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
So you went from Fort Worth.
Yep.
And then what made you before you started with Samson Surrey? You were actually a cocktail mixologist, bartender.
Yeah.
So how'd you get started in that business?
It's funny because I've kind of always been in that industry, and I say that my old man owned a construction company, right?
Okay.
Building up the town, and by noon, 1 o'clock in the summertime, you're at the bar because it's so hot you can't really do anything.
Right.
So we used to go to the bar, and I used to see all these old cats like sitting around, smoking their cigars, drinking their whiskeys, talking to the bartender, and I'm like, man, this is really dope.
Yeah.
And so I tried my hand at engineering and doing some other stuff like that, and it just I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, I'm just going to bartend full time. And I just got in with the right people,
Yeah.
People say, oh, craft bartending and this and that. Well, that's kind of how I learned back in, the late 90s. It was fresh juice and old school cocktails.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how I was taught. So it's always been normal for me. And then I got into some high volume places, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I like high volume too. So put them together and ended up in Dallas and working some really cool spots. And after 25 years of doing that, man, and running spots, and I just got burnt out. I wanted to see my family more, and the last place I was at was Las Almas Rotas Mezcaleria over in Fair Park.
Say it slow one more time.
Las Almas Rotas Mezcaleria. So it was over in Fair Park. It's James Beard nominated.
Yeah.
One of the best and one of my favorite bars of all time. It's agave forward. But I was there, and I quit, and everybody looked at me like I was bananas. Everybody. And I took 2 months off, and then I happened to luck into getting working with Samson and Surrey, and now it's like a dream come true. I mean, some of these brands I worked with, all of these brands at one point before I even joined the company.
Slinging cocktails, and
you
said something a while ago. You said back in a long time ago, back in the day, they smoke cigars, drink whiskey.
Yeah.
Well, back in those days, whiskey was whiskey, boy. It was stout.
Yeah.
Nowadays, whiskey can have all kinds of flavors and be a lot more smooth.
Right.
I'm telling you, I can't even drink Jack anymore. Jack is back in those days. It was kind of like that was kind of
that
like
was the jam. I mean, I drank my fair share of that.
Yeah, boy.
I cut my teeth on Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. I learned how to actually drink real whiskey when I was out on a job site one day, and we were doing some petroleum storage tanks and doing some stuff, and we got home, and my partner drank Weller. And he's like, why are you drinking like that? Because I'm just like, oh, fuck, dude, I don't know. I'm 20, 21 years old. And I'm like, yeah, let's get blasted, whatever. And he's like, no, you're drinking wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm drinking wrong? He's like, this is how you drink whiskey. And he poured me a glass of Weller. And he's like, just sip on it, man. Put an ice cube in it and just hang out. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And I was like, I'm drinking with him, and like we're sitting here bullshitting. And I'm like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. That's one of the pivotal points in my life. And I'm like, now I get sitting at those bars and watching all these guys smoke their cigars and sip on whiskey and talk to people. That's what it's about.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. It's creating a memory.
Yeah.
You create friendships,
Yep. And
I-
you talk. That's why I loved. That's why I had my drink with Trey side, because not only do I love to eat and visit with chefs, but I also love mixologists and drinking and the camaraderie. And really, when you think about it, but nowadays you can sit at a bar and eat and drink, and it's the same thing. But we like to do, I like to do entertainment stuff, and then I also like to do the food stuff and smoke cigars, and so it's an experience.
Yeah, it definitely is.
When you were slinging cocktails, what was your most favorite place that you worked at?
I would say honestly, Atwater Alley, over there with Henry's Majestic, People's Last Stand, and Las Almas Rotas. Those are probably my top three. I mean, I have a lot of favorites that I've hung out in and worked at, but I think really those are probably my top three jams.
Henry's Majestic has got some great food.
Yeah, we do a great brunch bar.
Yeah.
And, if you've ever been to Atwater Alley, the speakeasy in the back, it's one of the sexiest bars in town.
Wow. I've not been there. I'd put that on my list.
You
Atwater
do have
Alley.
It's right behind that in the alley.
Oh, is that why
It's
they call
in
it?
Atwater Alley. Yeah.
Oh, that's why that's a great. That was my next question,
Yeah.
brother. That was my next lead in. You did it for me.
Yeah. We're mind melding. That's
Yeah. So Atwater Alley.
Yeah.
How big is it?
I mean, it's about as big as this right here. Full thing. 2 stories. Bar downstairs, bar upstairs. Very intimate. Dimly lit, but
I like that.
It's sexy, man. You want to take a girl to on a date or your boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
You go there.
Yeah.
Because it's just beautiful. There is no menu. You tell the bartenders what you want, and we create the cocktail for you. I mean, it's just great.
Duncan Burks, that owns Baby Dolls and has had bars all over in 3 states, man. I remember one time, long time ago, I was sitting down and somebody asked, we were talking about business, the bar business, spirits business. At that time, this was 30 years ago.
Yep.
And the guy asked me, he said, "Man, why is it so dark in those clubs?" And Duncan Burks always said, he said, "Man, the darker it is, the more money you make." He said, "People do not want bars that are lit up, lots of lights. They don't want that." He said, "You curtail your clientele when you do that." And I never have forgot that.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, it's all about that vibe, and if your lights aren't dimmed at the right hour, that vibe goes off. If the music isn't just right, the vibe is off. You gotta. There's a lot of people like, "Oh, I'm just going to the bar and hanging out." I mean, there's a lot of mechanics behind what you're going into. That's when are you going to get a real job? And I'm like, well, I'm making a lot of money and I'm working a lot less hours than you, so I guess it's real enough.
People, I don't think people understand how much you can make. I don't think they understand that. I mean, there's a lot of money, and it's cash.
Yeah, it's cash. I think.
Well, I know everybody pays their taxes. I'm not saying you're trying to escape the IRS.
No, they do. And I think, a lot of people, yes, it's a lot of cash day to day, and unless you understand how money works, or you understand how you're like the ebb and flow of season and business, you're going to be screwed. And we saw that happen to a lot of people during the pandemic and the shutdown. 120,000 jobs were lost, and they're like, well, I don't know what to do because I never saved my money. I made $800 last night, but
hand to mouth.
Yeah, I'm like, it's and I think this taught a lot of people
rainy
in the industry.
days, baby. Rainy. And here's the deal. I think it'll happen again. I think there's going to be some of the new virus, because we're getting so big and with so many people now in the world. I think it's going to happen again. I think we'll be better prepared. Yeah, but I think it's going to happen again.
I agree with that.
I just do.
Yeah.
So when you were doing cocktails, what was before you got into Samson Surrey and all these beautiful brands, tasty brands? What was your favorite? Spirit that you did? What was your go-to spirit? I guess.
So, up until around 2010, it was whiskey. Whiskey, hands down. That's what I drank. I drank some gin. During the summer, I drink gin, but after around 2010, I started drinking a lot of mezcal and a lot of tequila. In 2008, whenever Tequila Ocho rolled out, I was with the Four Seasons, and I tried Tequila Ocho, and I was like, mind blown.
Yeah.
2010, buddy of mine, John Garrett, who was the distributor of the time, brought in Mezcal Vago Elote, that bottle, and explained it to me, and I couldn't understand how it had corn in it, but it wasn't a whiskey. It was a mezcal and all this, and that it literally put me into agave nerdum,
Yeah.
and I just started into that.
There's a lot of that
so
nowadays,
many. There's so
though.
many wormholes to go down
Yeah.
whenever you're into it because
Yeah.
it's so vast and it's like the most complex spirit you can get into. You know, you talk about terroir with wine. Well, with agave, it's the exact same thing. It's all about terroir.
Right.
You know, and that's I think one of the things that really kind of opened me up to like exploring these things. You're like not only exploring a spirit, but you're actually exploring a culture, a family's culture,
Right.
because these are made by families, right?
Right.
For generations at times. And so you're literally drinking these people's life,
Right.
And it opens you up to a whole nother level.
You know, I read a deal. Yesterday. I read a deal. J.W. Marriott, old Marriott. I think he's 90, 92 or 93 now. He put a deal on yesterday, which blew my mind. He was so accurate though. But he put a picture of their very first, where his grandparents started. People think he started in hotels. They didn't. They started with a A&W root beer, kind of they sold A&W root beer, but it was like a drugstore deal. They had a little drugstore bar. They sold food and chili. That's how Marriott. And then from there it blossomed. And he was making a statement about how everybody in America, they only see the end result.
Yeah.
They don't think about what it takes to get to that. They don't think about the hours and because almost every business in America starts small unless you're bought up by a conglomerate or unless you're a conglomerate start a new business.
Right.
90% of them were started small and grown, to get big. I thought that was a great statement. It's just neat to see where they came and where they are now.
Oh yeah.
And that's like all this.
Yeah.
So let's start talking about these. So Samson Surrey has a line, and y'all have mezcal, you have whiskeys,
And gin.
and gin.
Yep.
Now I was just going to say I love Snoop song Gin and Juice.
Yeah.
But if I try to drink gin, it's a little harsh for me. But
Okay, so this is actually why Andrew started Blue Coat was, Blue Coat Gin is the very first. It is the original American dry gin.
right here, let's put it right here.
So distillery in Philly.
Blue, oh shit! Let me turn this around. Sorry.
He wanted to disrupt what people thought about gin, right? Because we're so used to the London Dry. Sapphire and Plymouth were the lightest gins that you could get at the time.
Right.
Andrew comes out with this American Dry Gin. It's softer juniper, citrus up front, and just a beautiful, crisp, clean middle, right? Makes a great gin and tonic, makes a great bramble, but the gin itself is...
It's a beautiful bottle.
It matches what's inside of it.
Yeah.
It literally matches. It's just a beautiful gin. Most bartenders that I try on this is becoming their favorite gin. It's very easy to work with. I drink it, straight and hot, because nothing like hot gin.
Yeah.
And the
Wait a minute! Don't get me all worked up. Hot gin. You say you like it hot and naked, right?
That's right, man.
Hot and naked.
Hot and naked. That's how I drink my spirits.
That's the way I like Jana. So I take it that most of gins you can't mix with everything because they're so strong, right?
Well, I mean, you can, but you're. And here's the thing: as a bartender, and you're going into a bar, you have your well drink that you can make. Oh, I want the well. But if you have a bartender that knows the craft, they're going to choose a gin that complements that cocktail.
Right.
Right. So you may have a heavy London Dry with big juniper notes for one cocktail, but you may want the Blue Coat because of the lighter juniper notes in a different cocktail. Right.
Gotcha.
So it's flavor profile.
Kind of like mixing vodka.
Just like mixing vodka, like whenever you're cooking dinner, and you're putting your seasonings in. I mean, that's you got to balance everything out, right?
Well, that's good. That's neat to know about gin because that bottle's beautiful. That's when we took them all out. That one, of course, my favorite color is blue and green. So,
right on.
But when you took the bottle out, it's just a beautiful bottle.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're trying to sell a package, whether it be alcohol or anything, you want the packaging to look beautiful, and that sure does.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So let's go through the mezcal. So what appears your? I don't know if you can have a favorite, but you got 3 mezcals here, and these are all from Mexico, correct?
Yeah. So Tequila Ocho is out of Jalisco, La Alteña, Carlos Camarena, and Tomas Estes got together and decided to show terroir in spirits. This is the first tequila, or the first spirit outside of wine to show terroir. All of our, it's a single estate, so we own all of the ranches. Every year is a different ranch. Beautiful agave forward, sweet agave. And the thing is because it's a single estate and every year is different, you can try the vintages side by side and taste the nuances.
I was just fixing to ask you that. So they switch up. They use a different ranch every year. When you say ranch, you mean dirt because that's what's grown there.
Yep.
That's where it's grown. That's where it's harvested.
Yep.
So each year they use a different one, which creates a different flavor profile.
Correct. Yeah. So, and you could have 2 ranches that are about 5 meters apart, and they'll be completely different.
Isn't that crazy?
And I've done it, and it's crazy. It's mind blowing, and it's so awesome. You know, like this one has a little bit more earthiness to it.
Right.
The 2017 is a little bit more brighter and fruity.
Right.
So
well, you're kind of talking about like wine too. So
Exactly.
Same way.
Right.
But now you're talking about mezcal. So
Exactly.
that's cool.
Yeah. And you're not wrong by saying mezcal because tequila is a type of mezcal. So, and I don't think a lot of people actually understand that. They think of tequila as tequila and mezcal as, oh, that's a type of tequila. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I do drink a whole lot of that.
Is it? I guess I'm assuming it's smooth.
Yeah. So in the spirits world, smooth is not really something that we like to say because, especially with agave, because you don't go down to Mexico, it's not smooth. It's got rough edges, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And
yeah.
that's tequila and mezcal and raicilla and all these agaves. They have, I like to say they have softer profiles or they have more mineral profiles.
Okay.
But this is a crisp and a clean agave.
It says 96 world's best. You got a 96 on this one?
Yep, we just won World's Best Tequila by Forbes. We got 2 gold medals
World's
for
best
this.
by Forbes. I'm gonna say that might sell some tequila for you.
Yeah, I think it has. I think it has been.
Yeah.
We just got we got 2 gold medals at the San Francisco Blind Spirits tastings for this mezcal. This is a deep well water mezcal, so the salinity that you get off of it is,
Minerals out of it? Yeah.
beautiful. Works great with like sushi, raw bar, oysters. A lot of people don't think to mix your mezcal and eat it with some ceviche or oysters, but I'm telling you, it's great.
So this is a sipping mezcal?
Yeah, I mean, you can still mix them. Yeah, you can still mix everything.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
don't like to mix.
I'm bougie at my house, and I have a $100 shot stuff, and I'm making cocktails with it just because I can, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, just drink it.
Yeah.
Just drink it neat. Take 3 sips, and it kind of acclimates, and you get the different profiles, and
Right.
it's an experience. Mezcal is an experience.
I love ceviche, so I think it'd be great with that.
Oh, it is.
Man,
it is. It just complements so well.
So it's pretty easy to sell something when you have somebody selling it for you like a best tequila out of for Forbes. I mean, it always helps to sell the brand, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was excited to hear it. I know the company was ecstatic to hear it.
Okay, this is elote.
Yep, elote. So that's so this is what we consider our pachuga. It's a vegan pachuga. It's 2 distillations. Espadine on the second distillation, we put heirloom blue corn that's been toasted and ground into the distillate, and it picks up those beautiful corn notes.
Is that why it's called elote? Because corn.
Elote, yep. And then if you're a whiskey drinker
Right.
and you're not sure about getting into mezcal, this is a really good one because you have the familiarity of the corn
Of
there
the whiskey notes,
that kind of segues you into the mezcal, and then you can kind of branch out. But that bottle right there changed my life. It literally, I tell people this all the time, man. I get to work for the company now, and that bottle literally turned me into
Changed your life.
Yeah.
So my mezcal story, my friend, celebrity chef David Holster, he had a restaurant. He opened up. He loves mezcal. This was like 5 years ago. 6 years ago, but he had all these mezcals, and I never really had a mezcal. I probably had, but I didn't really know I had. And I went in there, and we sat there one day. He said, "I want you to taste these mezcals, man." I started tasting them. I'm gonna tell you something. Woo, boy! By dark, I was about, where am I? Where am I? Am I in Europe? I was.
Right.
I was. Woo!
Yeah.
I was 6 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, high alcohol, low sugar. I mean, it's a whole nother drunk.
Sugar's what kills. Yeah.
I don't wake up with hangovers whenever I drink mezcal. I'll tell you that much.
So all right, so we got these brands. So up here, and what was that brand? I'm sorry.
So this is also Mezcal Vago, but
Okay.
the labels are different because they're different mezcaleros or distillers,
Okay.
right? So this is Emilio Jarquin, and this is Hijos de Aquilino. So Aquilino Garcia was the patriarch. He passed away last summer.
Okay.
His sons actually took over for him. They've been doing production for him.
Got you.
For like 10 years and 4 years. And then I think this is like the first batch or second batch after he passed. So, but it's, still amazing. Nothing's changed. I mean, if you've had the mezcal that Aquilino made and this mezcal, it's the same.
So how are all these companies? This is a question I've been wanting to ask about. I was saving it for our show. How are all these companies keeping up? Because mezcal and tequila has gotten so popular now. How are they keeping up with the agave and the plants and on the farming side?
So that's a great question, honestly. For us, we own all of our agaves. For larger brands, or brands that you see in wells and tequilas that you see that are, $15 and $17. Right. Typically, they're going to be thrown in a diffuser. They're going to be over harvesting young agaves, young under ripe agaves, industrialization, and then rectification, which is where they put in additives, colorings, and everything. So
to get to where they need to be.
Yeah. And if you're using a diffuser, you're technically not even making mezcal because it has to be cooked. A diffuser doesn't cook it. It just kind of breaks everything down, right? So you're talking about a completely industrialized process to make an agave vodka and then add the stuff in to make it taste like tequila.
Gotcha.
And unfortunately, a lot of these big brands that are out there that people love and that have these vanilla tasting notes and these really sweet candy notes, that's not good tequila. We are artisanal or ancestral made products for our agaves. So there is no industrialization. You can take our tequila ocho and put a little bit on your hand, do this, and it'll just clean right off, right? Because it's beautiful made. It's not, nothing's in it. But you take another brand and you do the same thing, it'll get sticky, right? And it's what, we have a name for that in the world, but I can't say that. Because I want to be cordial, and I want people to make their own decisions, right? But it is so marketing gets people in the door, right? It's up to the bartender to educate without alienating, and seeming pompous, and that. I'm not going to lie. I have had those times where I'm trying to talk to somebody and I come off as pompous or alienate them. And I'm like, I have to catch myself. I'm sorry. I don't mean it like that. Let me back up and, because you can turn someone off, right?
They like those tequilas though, because of market, because that's what's been beat in their head. Because
the American palate loves sweet.
Yeah. And the more you beat that in their head and the more money somebody has to beat that in people's heads, make them come across in their thoughts when they go to a liquor store, that's what's going to sell. And what's funny is that, if you just get somebody to take, it's like me. If I'm going out to get somebody to try something and they've never tried it before and I have to convince them to try it, but 9 times out of 10, once they try that dish or that drink, they like it.
Yeah.
But you have to get them, you have to break that barrier in their mind to get them to try it.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure with all these, that's why tastings are so popular at liquor stores.
Yeah. And I do probably 2 tastings a week. Cause there's nothing like getting liquid to lips, right?
Yeah.
Like you just said. And changing the mindset of people, because I see the switch flip every time they try one of my spirits and they're so used to something else. I'm like, well, just try this. It's free. It's a sip. If you don't like it, what are you hurting, right? You ain't paying for it. Just try it. Okay. And they'll try it and they'll be like, oh, and I would say 80% of the time, if not 90% of the time, I sell them a bottle that day. If I don't sell them a bottle that day, they come back to whatever store I was at and they buy it and they become a fan and start drinking that way.
Do you think too that sometimes that the average person is overwhelmed by all the choices?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I get overwhelmed. And I've been in this industry for 25 years. You can walk into a spot, especially whenever you're looking at whiskeys, and all the craft whiskeys that are out there right now and popping up. How do you stand apart whenever there's 500 other people vying for that exact same location? Again, I think it comes back to a little bit of marketing, but getting liquid to lips, tasting, meeting people, shaking hands, that's just what it is. Especially with our brands, because we're small. We're a small company. Our founders worked for a large company, got tired of watching a large company take in these beautiful craft brands and just destroying them,
destroying them,
and getting rid of them. So they decided to branch off and on their own and start their own company and create this wonderful, family of small craft brands that is just an award winning. Every single thing we have has awards, gold medals out the wazoo. I mean, a lot of, for me, I'm like, oh, that's cool. But being in the industry, I'm like, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
But these brands really.
It makes
once
a difference.
you taste them, man,
It makes a difference because like I told you before we started the show, I can't tell you. I told you I had that vodka. Jan and I had that. We were at this place and wanted to try this vodka. We literally listen to me. If I can't drink a spirit, it's bad.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's bad.
Same.
It's bad. And we could not even finish them. It was just nasty.
Yeah.
I asked what it was. Didn't know what the name was. I said, well, I don't know. It was either made with gasoline, shoe leather, and rocks, or I don't know what you did, but man, it was something else. All right, so let's talk about some of the other brands we got here. All right. So this is a beautiful bottle. This is from France, obviously.
It is, yeah. So it's actually a French single malt whiskey.
French single malt whiskey. Boy, it's got a beautiful color to it, doesn't it?
So that's our 10-year-old. Allison Park was a ballerina.
Okay.
And like all good ballerinas, she retired at the age of 27 and decided to show terroir in whiskey.
Oh.
So, as her being the only ballerina ever, I just assume that's how they all are.
Yeah.
But she partnered with a third generation cognac distiller who happened to have this beautiful heirloom barley on his property to oxygenate all the vineyards on the estate, right? And then he would just, for shits and giggles, distill it for people that came over. Well, she fell in love with what he had and took we own all the barley now and all the juice, and they made this beautiful French single malt. And it's crazy because whenever you think single malt, you definitely do not think French, and you definitely don't think cognac area. So we were the first to exclusively age in in French Limousine oak and wet XO cognac barrels.
Wow.
He distills in a copper alembic
That's got to be unusual flavor.
It does. It's it has some tropical fruit notes, blueberry muffin tops, bananas Foster, creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
It's delicate yet complex. I'm telling you, man. And then with the original, and then with the 10-year, it has a lot more spice because it's been in the barrels longer, right?
Right.
So it drinks almost more like a Scotch, but without that peat. It's beautiful.
Is it real sweet, or
no? It's fruity and floral, but dry.
Okay.
Right. So it's not sweet at all, but it has those notes. Because you got to think, as a cognac distiller, cognac, you want to extract the fruity notes, right? So that's kind of where it comes from in that still. You get some of those fruity notes from that still, and then the rest come from the cognac barrels, and it just makes this amazing.
I don't think people understand either, and I say this 3 or 4 times now, but I don't, about everything today. I don't think they understand how much a barrel changes the flavor. What a barrel does.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I learned. I started learning this 10 years ago when I started my drink with Trey, go on all these tours and learn about different barrels, and some of these barrels are used 2 and 3 different times for different things to get different flavor profiles,
right?
Which I think is fantastic. It also makes for a good story. Where's the barrel been? How long has it been? What was it before? So it's a deal. But this is a great story behind how she did that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And kind of touching on barrels, Tequila Ocho, we use a neutral barrel, which means it has been used so much there isn't really anything left on it, right? So whenever you see our Reposado or our Añejo, they look very pale, very straw colored, and you're like, is that even a rested spirit? I mean, it's rested, but it's in a extremely 30 to 60-year-old barrel. It's been used who knows how many times.
How old can those barrels get?
I don't know, until they break, I guess.
Until they break, or they get a crack hole with?
Yeah, but
I guess they do get bad. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's using them in succession, so I think they probably stay wet and they're fine.
Yeah.
But to Carlos Camarena's, what he always says is you don't go to an art museum to look at picture frames. You go to an art museum to look at artwork, right? So I'm making artwork, and then I just frame it,
right?
So you can look at that artwork, and it just adds a little bit of this. And I'm, and to me, I'm like, whenever he said that, I was like, man,
that's a good analogy.
That's why you're the OG, son.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, now we got right here. We got a straight rye whiskey.
Yep,
it's called Few.
Few, first distillery in Chicago since Prohibition.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they literally changed laws so Paul could open up his distillery.
First distillery in Chicago
since Prohibition. Yep.
And they changed the law so we could open this up.
Yeah, so
now that is a great story.
So we're around 10 blocks from Northwestern University and Frances Eleanor Willard's house. Frances Eleanor Willard, who is the godmother of the Temperance movement, right? He loved the 1893 World's Fair. So if you look at all of our artwork on our bottles, it's all homage to that. Our proof on all of our whiskeys is 93. We do a lot of really cool innovations. Like with the rye, we have what's called the Immortal Rye. And instead of using water to proof, we actually use oolong Immortal 8 Oolong black tea that's been cold extracted, and we use that in as our cut.
Wait. Okay, now let's say this again real slow now because I could never remember to say that. So let's say it one more time.
So it's Immortal 8
Right.
Oolong black tea.
Okay.
And it's been cold extracted.
And so what does that do? It changes the flavor, obviously.
Yeah, but
does it make it more palatable, or what is it?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say more palatable, but it gives you a whole different range of flavor profiles,
Okay.
right? So we're now with the spice of the rye. Now you have these dragon fruit notes and these like peach notes coming through
Right.
from the tea. You get this beautiful tea note that just
Right.
kind of mingles with the whiskey
Yeah.
through the whole experience,
dances,
right?
just mingles
Yeah,
with-
it does dance.
just
And then
dance
whenever
around.
you finish that glass and
Yeah.
you got that empty glass and you smell it, it smells like a really, really beautiful tea.
Yeah.
But you
That's
still get a
awesome.
little bit of that wisp of the whiskey. I mean, it's crazy how they did that. And we also have one with the bourbon that we did with coffee.
We're gonna get that right
It's
now.
called cold cut.
All right, we're gonna get this right here. This is another one here. We'll
Yep,
put this.
that's our bourbon.
This is the bourbon. We're gonna look at that.
Yeah.
I like that label too.
Yeah.
Straight bourbon whiskey, baby.
That's right. It's aged at least 2. It's done when it's done.
Hey.
Unapologetically Chicago, baby.
You know what I call that? I call that giddy up.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Because you're gonna be doing something when you're drinking.
You show right.
So just kind of just if you and I were sitting somewhere talking, we were in a bar, and I said, just real quick, what's the difference in two flavor profiles? How would you describe it?
All right. So one's a rye, one's a bourbon. The bourbon. Okay. So here's something that you need to know about it first. So our bourbon is a 70 corn, 20 rye, and a 10 barley.
Right.
Right. The rye is a 70 rye, 20 corn, and 10 barley. So you just kind of invert
Flips
those.
it, okay.
Right. So the high rye on the bourbon cuts through that sweetness really nicely.
Got you.
And the same effect with the rye. So the corn sweetens up that rye just enough.
Just enough. Okay.
They have been my cocktail whiskeys for about 3 years now.
Okay.
And that few rye for me makes the best Boulevardier you can get. And that's just,
Yeah.
personal preference.
Personal
but
preference.
the spice on it and that corn note that softens it just the right amount, right? So that's what I would say the difference. You're going to have a bourbon that drinks like a rye and a rye that drinks like a bourbon. The rye has a little bit more cinnamon notes on it, a little bit more soft, but we have
I
an
like-
American whiskey that I just, every time I drink it, it becomes my favorite.
I'm big about that. That's my favorite. Jan told me that. She said, "Man, everything is your favorite." I'm like, "Well, today it's my
Yeah.
favorite today, man."
Yeah, that's what I'm in the mood for.
That's
That's my
right,
favorite
yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So, but why does it for me? I love drinking whiskeys. Looks like your Widow Jam. We're going to talk about in a few minutes. But I like whiskey in a short glass
Yep.
and vodka too, but with one ice cube, either round or square. Pour it over the top, and that's it. Now, why and just sip on it. I just think for some reason I think it tastes better that way.
Yeah, so you're opening it up with
Yeah.
a little bit of that water, and the reason you use a big ice cube is it doesn't melt as fast, so you're not
Right.
watering your
Right.
whiskey as quickly. So yeah, I mean, you're just you would probably get the same if you had one of the rocks, the cold
Yeah.
rocks, put it in there, but dripped
Yeah.
a couple of droplets of water in there. It'd be the same effect. But yeah, it most definitely you're putting just enough water in there to open it up to where you like it.
Yeah, it's funny because the average person doesn't drink like that. They don't drink. They just don't. They don't want to drink for the flavor or
Right.
they're drinking for some other.
They want to get drunk.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
have
for some
people
other
tell me all the time, like, just okay, well, get drunk better.
Well, they'll look. They go, "I don't know if I can drink." Yeah, that's pretty strong. I'm like, "No, it's really not strong." I said, "What's strong is what you're drinking.
Yeah.
You're just covering it up with junk.
Yeah.
Sugar and flavors and juices and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right?" So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So what do you got? Let's see. We already talked about the blue here. The
Yep,
the
blue
gin
coat.
blue coat, beautiful blue coat. I'm gonna have to have one of those bottles of mezcal before you leave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna either steal one. I'm gonna tell you to go down. I'm gonna steal one. I'm gonna ask you to get me one.
Yeah.
Okay. This now, is this different?
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's the original cast strength. So
Okay, okay.
the 10-year is only 3,000 bottles released in the U.S. a year.
Okay.
This is our original. On the estate, the doors and the shutters of the estate are this color blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
How big's the estate?
It's
big?
It's very large. You see a picture of it, and there's like you can see all the sections, but it goes. I'm like, wow, that's ours too. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
it's just, and some of those, I guess it's very old.
Yeah.
But some of those things are just huge, but they're beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
But the upkeep is what kills you on those.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Can
I
you
mean, I'm sure
imagine?
he has
Oh.
all kinds of
Yeah,
farmers on
he
the land.
does, but the upkeep is still
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, so I do want to talk about because Widow Jane, we did. I met you at an event. I'm gonna set this here for a minute. 'Cause we'll talk about that event, and then we'll talk about this Widow Jane in a minute. But I met you at a Widow Jane whiskey event, correct?
That is correct.
And we were. Sorry, it was a dinner. What dinner was it? I forgot already.
Yeah, the Seven Doors Kitchen.
Yeah,
And it was the chef's dinner pairing with Widow Jane.
and it was delicious.
Yeah, it looked delicious. That I still, man, I like that rib, braised rib, whatever it was. That definitely almost made me eat meat again. Because I was like, boy, that looks.
Smiling Chef Jacob did a good job.
Yeah,
with
he
that,
did.
He's
Yeah.
always smiling.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that guy a lot. So we met over there. Now, there was 4 cocktails with that, right, or was it 5?
I think 4.
4.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you and what was the bartender's name there?
Victor.
Victor. Y'all put those together? Did y'all put those?
Victor pretty much did all
Okay.
of it. He ran them. He was like, "Hey, how's this look?" Yeah, golden. But yeah, he was the mind on the cocktails. They did a barrel aged old fashioned with the Widow Jane 10-year, which I think was your favorite.
Yeah.
With the bacon, the candy bacon.
Yeah. Oh well, his candy bacon just.
Yeah.
Listen to me. That candy bacon, and I tell, and I still tell people this. That's the best candy bacon I ever had in my life. You'll have naughty dreams about that stuff. I mean, I'm not kidding you, man. You'll want to go home, and rub it all over you, and
Yeah.
sit there and eat on the bed. I mean, it is delicious.
All right.
But it's a real candy bacon that he takes time to make and put the gloss and the sheen on and the thick coating. I mean, it's. At first, I thought it was cotton. If you close your eyes, it's so crunchy and so got such a great texture. You think it's cotton candy. You think it's cotton candy apple or something.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
it's just insanely delicious. And I've ordered the first time I went there. I got a whole separate order. And then I just can never stop eating. I have to make myself stop eating it. But when you put it in those old fashions or you put it in a drink, it adds a little bit of
I mean, yeah, I'm all about fat washing my whiskey.
man. You know that it coats your tongue,
Yeah.
and you're just like, man, fat washing the whiskey, baby.
Yeah, man, I'm all about that.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, because when I met you about Widow Jane, I love the backstory. So first of all, let's talk about the backstory. First, how many brands are there? And,
With Widow Jane,
flavors. I'm sorry.
We have the 10-year.
Right.
This is distributed outside of distillery, right?
Right.
So we have the 10-year, and we have 2 ryes. We have an American oak, and then we have an American oak with applewood.
Okay.
And then on distillery, we have like 4
Okay.
other things. One that we're most proud of is the Baby Jane, which is our own heirloom corn. That has been distilled and aged and bottled on distillery.
Okay.
We're only about 8 years old, so we do have juice in barrels right now, but
Right.
this is Lisa Wicker, who is our head distiller
Right.
and president and blender. She's like my spirit animal, seriously.
She your favorite?
I mean, it's a toss up between her and Paul.
Yeah.
From Few, they're just amazing people, but the way she blends these whiskeys together, it's 5 straight bourbons, no more than 5, and no less than 10 years in age, and then she masterfully blends these together and then proofs it with the water out of the Rosendale limestone.
That's what I love.
That is, for me, that's what sets the whiskey apart from everything else, because you get this creamy, velvety mouthfeel that just bridges that. It's a 91 proof, but those layers of flavor,
The first time I heard you say that creamy, velvety mouthfeel, I'm like, this guy's after my own heart. I'm like, creamy, velvety mouthfeel on a whiskey? I'll take 2 cases.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. But it's water. It's out of aquifer. Is that what you said?
It's out of the Rosendale limestone quarry.
Right, okay.
The significance of that is actually the quarry itself was used to build pretty much all of New York and most of the U.S. up until the mid-30s. It's like the Statue of Liberty Basin, the Brooklyn Bridge. This is all from that limestone. So whenever they stopped mining, all the water trickled down. There's 3 giant caverns. We actually have rights to one of the caverns that just kind of off a little bit, gated door. And people aren't down in there swimming and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very pristine, and it's
People
it's
aren't
an
down there
experience.
swimming.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we get our water from there, and 2 times mineral content of Kentucky.
Okay.
And so that's why it's so minerally and has that salinity and that mouthfeel, right? So if you have like a cask strength whiskey at home, go buy one of the big French fizzy waters.
Right.
Let it go flat and pour it into a little bit into that whiskey, and then get some flat water out of your tap and pour it into another glass of whiskey, and you'll see the difference of how the minerality kind of bonds and brings other flavors out of that whiskey. And then the tap water will not.
You know what I told myself the other night I had 2 drinks. I was waiting on Jan to get ready. We were going out to this event, and I had 2, and I stood up and I said, "Man, I'm going to call this more," because I said it tastes like more because more is all I want. You know, it's really a very tasty, very nice sipping whiskey.
Yeah,
I mean it's.
Yeah, and then you put your rock in there. I mean, it opens it up just right too, man. It drinks really well with the rock.
I think that night was a skull. Janice bought me these things.
Oh, right on.
And like you fill it up and it's like one. It's one big ice skull.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was. The only thing I don't like about it is when it melts to a certain thing, it starts flipping around and it just kind of spooks you out. You look at it's looking at you, and I'm like, oh.
That's hilarious.
So, Widow Jane is that. So, I want to talk about people. Are all these available at all the liquor stores?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, all the big box carries all of them. Independents, little small mom pops have, you know, at least the agaves. It depends. You know, there's places around Dallas that have them in Fort Worth.
If people are listening, not because we have a lot of listeners out of the state. Is this at various liquor stores?
Yes.
In big cities. Okay.
Yeah. So if you, just to say the big conglomerate, if you have a Total Wine.
Okay.
It'll probably be in there.
Okay.
And that's because, you know, all the
right
outside of where I am.
Right.
But typically if you have if you have a really good mom and pop store that knows craft and you walk in there and you see some really cool stuff, chances are our stuff will be there.
So before we get out of here, I want to know, what is your favorite thing about slinging spirits? What is your most favorite thing about that? For your job, what is it?
Educating and interaction with people. That's something I've always been about.
You're good at educating. So I mean, you have a vast knowledge, which is and I've talked to a lot of reps in the last 10 years at various liquor stores, and they don't know all they are is a face, right? They don't understand the mechanics behind the brand.
Well, I got to tell you, if I relied on my face, I wouldn't be anywhere. So,
yeah.
So I have to back that up with at least a little bit of halfway knowledge.
Come
right?
on, Mr. Hot and Naked. That's my new nickname for you, Hot and Naked.
That's all right.
All right. So, so all these brands have got their own websites. Like Widow Jane's got hers. Is it Few
Spirits?
Few Spirits. Mm-hmm. And then the
Blue Coat, Mezcal Vago, Tequila Ocho, and Bryn. Bryn whiskey without an E.
Okay,
because it's French.
What I'm gonna do is whenever the guys go, when they get everything show done and get it all posted and put it on the network and stuff, I'll have all the brands on there,
right on,
highlighted. They can just click on it, and then I'll tag a few of the big box stores too. People
right
can get because. You know, I mean, social media is so slammed with stuff. Some people just they get frustrated. So it's easier if they have some button they can click.
Yeah, no, the one button click is perfect.
Yeah. People get blown away, and it's got to be short and sweet.
Yeah. I agree.
Or hot and naked.
Short neck and hot and sweet. Yes, that's me.
And delicious.
Yeah, and delicious. You forgot the delicious part.
That's right. All right, everybody. Chris, man, really thanks for coming in today, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a good time, and you were a little tired when you got here, but you livened up a little bit when that camera, when them cameras flipped on, you livened up a little bit.
Yeah, you got to put it on.
That's right. You got to put it on. All right, guys. So we got to have another great show next week, but you can go to TreysChowdown.com. Hook us up on all our social media platforms. We are on TikTok now, and I am TikToking like crazy. So if you're a TikTok guy, and you know I'm TikToking like crazy, I don't know, I've just kind of got into the old TikTok thing, but we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Tumblr, we're on LinkedIn, and we do them all very well. We promote daily. If you like seafood and you're into Florida and New Orleans cuisine, you can go to Trey's Chowdown, Trey's Coastal Chowdown. That is on Facebook, and we post on there daily and weekly about the best restaurants in New Orleans and best place to go in Florida, beach cuisine. Of course, and then we got Drink with Trey, which is what we're here today. Drink with Trey is on Facebook, and we do jokes, we do cocktails, we do spirits, and we also have our live show on there, and it's really fun. So hook us up, enjoy us. Go to the website, check out our burger article and our best barbecue article, which we released the first of last month on Fox, and this last released on ABC. But I'll see y'all next week. Visit us, like our pages, interact, engage with us, and I'll see y'all same time, same bat channel again next week. Hopefully my tooth will be fixed. I won't be snaggletooth. See y'all.